Hey, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to go over all the parameters of the auto trader, and we're also going to show you how to configure it, create an ATM strategy, and do everything. Now, just let me make sure that we're recording, which we are. So just hang on, and while I talk, Sergio is going to do the job. Now, the automated trade management amount you saw there is not accurate because we were playing with it just a minute ago. He's going to open up some new charts. You can add these all at the same time because they're all 5-range charts. You don't need to create new charts individually as long as they trade on the same time frame. So you can bring a 6B, 6C, 6E, 6J, and E mini down and start charts at the same time. Now when you bring the CL down, just change that to an 8. This is a real quick way of bringing up new charts. Now, Sergio's going to bring a gold chart down. And change that to an 8. So make sure that gold is highlighted. At the end, I'm going to answer everyone's question. Okay, here come all the new charts. And you hit strategies. And go to electronic entry, enabled, true. And you have to do that for each individual chart. And you can do it one at a time, but it's a lot easier if you do it this way. And this is only going to be your initial configuration. Now you're going to get this on video, so don't worry about remembering it if you're going to have a problem with it. And there's gold. So you have the NDT. Just make sure when you click through, you've got the correct range on it, and you can see that the NDT electronic entry is now configured on every single one of the new charts that Sergio just created. Well, you can see here that confirms that you've got the electronic entry. All you've got to go is to strategies, and you'll see that you have them. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 7 strategies. Now I'm going to go over later why we only have 7. We don't have more.
You have to wait to enable this. Over here, double click.
Now to enable, all you have to do is go to the right side and hit enable. Just keep putting the checks in.
On the other way is enable.
Let's go to enable.
And you can select all of them. Enable.
Enable.
That's the 3 ways that you have.
So now the NDT algorithmic system has been enabled on all the charts. Now, here are the NDTs which have come up when you hit enable. And bring them all in front. Bring all of them in front. Okay, that's the 6C. Now, Sergio's going to show you how to create an ATM, link it to the NDT. So we're going to trade 4 contracts on an 8 range. I'm sorry, this is a 5 range. So your stop loss is 7. Your first, and all we have is 1 profit target. We're all out at 6. So this is all on a JPEG, which Sergio can send you, and it's also posted to the website. And then you have to name it. How did you bring that up, Sergio? Just right-click on that gray area on the dome, go to Manage ATM Strategies, Manage ATM Strategy Templates, and just give it a name. And you can call this (6B), C, J, and E. Same strategy for all of them. 4 contracts, trade it. Now you can name it whatever you like, but there's the name right there. And then you cut, copy, close, and go to there, and go to Manage ATMs, and put it in there. And hit save. Now, you know if you can't do this, Sergio will help you do it. But I still want you to be able to see how to do it on your own. Hit close, and you're ready to go. There's the strategy on the drop down for your 6C. Now, you put in this, it's a stop limit order, and then you hit connect. So make sure you have the right instrument. You create your own username. No, it's got to be, Sergio, you give them the username and password? Sergio will give you your username and password, and you hit connect. And you're good. And you're all set to go. Now, you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to change the instrument. Instead of the 6C, you got to open up a new dome. You can open up 4. Because remember, there are 4 currencies. And you can open up a 5th because you have the E-mini. And you can open up 6 because we have 7 instruments. So now let's, the 6B, same ATM. Stop. Make sure it's the 6B in the instrument. And hit connect. Next instrument, 6E. Stop. ATM is correct. Just put in 6E. Connect. E-mini, 6J, same thing. Just put in 6J. And connect. Now those four currencies have the same exact ATM. And you could use one on all four of them. Now Sergio and I took a few losers when we were just testing out the system, which drove that up to minus 893. Now Sergio's going to create the ATM for CL and for gold. And remember, they're the same as well. Gold and for crude. Now here, your stop is 10. Now you have multiple targets. Your first profit target is 5, and your second profit target is 10. Profit triggers 5 ticks. And hit manage, stop. That means at 5 ticks, this trade will go to break even. And save. Now here's your second target. Now it's in. Now here you're going to configure your second target. To trail by 7. Okay, so what this means is you're going to take 2 contracts out at 5 ticks. At 5 ticks, the stop goes to break even. And then when you get to 7 ticks, it's going to start to trail the trade. When it goes to 6, it's not going to do anything. When it hits the 7th tick, the trail's going to begin. And it's going to take 2 out at 10. If you get a 10-tick move on crude, you make $300 and you're out of the trade. Now the exact same ATM is going to be done for gold. So you can just call it the same thing when you name it. Remember, save. Sergio will do this for you, but I want you to be able to see how it works. And then I'm going to go over, you go manage ATMs, manage ATMs, manage ATMs. Save it. Now, I know it's a little complicated, but If you review the video slower, you'll get it. And if you always have issues, you can always call Sergio. We have him handcuffed to the desk so he can't go anywhere. Now, I'm going to talk to you after this about the different configurations we have for the different instruments. They trade very differently. And we've in the process of doing major modifications. I'm going to show you the trades that were taken in the last 3 days. Now, we found one glitch in NinjaTrader where for some reason on one person's Ninja, it's triggering 3 entries instead of 1. And I have no idea why that's happening. We've never seen it before. But it's not a system problem on our end, which is why it's really important when you first connect to stay on SIM to make sure that the connection is seamless. Sergio. Sound. So now we're going to create the E-mini ATM, which is the most unique, and it's the one that has 3 targets. So we're going to take 2 contracts off, 1 and 1. And I really like it because it gives me the ability to move the stops, to move the targets, and let that trade go for that last target. Also, if you have a second or third target right in front of major support or resistance, you can slide the target in front of it. Profit target is 4 ticks, 7 ticks, and 11 ticks for the 3 levels. On 4 ticks, the stop moves to break even. Now at 4 ticks, it's also going to trail the trade by 1 tick all the way. Second target out at 11. Third target, 11 ticks on that same trailer. Manage the ATMs, give it a name. And I always recommend you put in there the number of contracts, 4C, so you know exactly how many contracts you're trading. Sergio called it CB for a specific reason, but it's not important. Save it. Manage ATMs. Stick it in. Save. Close. Dial it in. Stop. Connect. And remember, you have that 1 tick pullback. For your entry.
No.
Okay, now Sergio's going to save everything. So the next time that you open it, you save settings, save settings. So you'll never have to do this again. Well, I know that Ninja occasionally drops these settings, and that's another NinjaTrader problem. If you lose your settings and you need us to reconfigure, we'll be happy to do it for you.
No.
Okay, good enough. So we're just going to disable everything and then re-enable everything just to give you an idea. So now you open it up in the morning and everything's disabled. And everything's gone. Now everything's already set. Now, Sergio, tell me how you got all of those to appear at once. Every one of those.
Oh, you have two options. You go to the chip, select this first one, and go to the last one with that chip pressed.
You just hit the shift key.
Yeah, shift key. And select the first one.
First one, hit the first one, and then hit shift and select the last one, and they're all gonna be selected. And just hit enable, and they should all enable. One by one, they all enable. So now you can see when it opens, every single instrument in all of the NDTs are the same. So what you have to go is you have to rotate to each of the individual markets. You can leave the first one on gold and connect. Just make sure that they correspond. Now you're connected. Hit the 6C. Connect. Yeah, going one at a time, right down the list. Now you'll notice that the ATM is already in the NDT, because you saved it. And just go down the instrument list, hit connect, make sure they correspond, CL to the instrument CL. 6J, instrument 6J. And you're done. Now, if you want to disconnect in the middle of the day on any given instrument, all you do is hit the connect button and go to disconnect. And it's gone. If you want to reconnect, go back to that disconnect and hit connect, and you're back on. So it's real simple. Okay? Now let me see, while Sergio is here, let me see if there are any questions so far. Now, we're not looking at the charts. What I need you to do, Sergio, is just show how to take the package and oh, you already did that and bring it down into each of the charts?
The only thing that is not here is how to install the package.
Yeah.
There's instruction on the email that we send you how to.
Okay. The only thing that's not here is how to take the package out of your email and install it. But that's real simple. If you have any problems with that, just let us know. Yeah, there's an email that we send you that gives you instructions. Now this is the tough part. And if you can do this, you can easily download the system, and you're not going to have a problem. Now we're going to go through each individual instrument. Now, okay, Sergio's to Study is going to show you how to install a package, and this is true for any package. It's true for the NDT, Algorithmic. It's true for an indicator. It's true for anything. You go to Utilities. You download the zip file, and you're going to put it on your desktop wherever you want. You go to Import NinjaScript. put it in your download file.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, you're going to locate the zip file, and it's probably going to be in your download folder. And you're going to click on it and hit open. And that is going to install the assembly in your NinjaTrader. And then what you do is that assembly is simply inserted as a strategy . Now, once you install it, you're going to go to your chart. Open up strategies. I'm just going to move these away. Here, and you're going to take that NDT electronic and you're going to move it down. We're going to disable them. Hang on one second. And that's it. So if I show you my charts here, now I don't have the system installed on these charts. We have them installed on another computer, so I can't show them to you. Except I do have the code in my computer, so I can't, if I go to strategies, I have none. Okay, I have chart trader. Hold on a minute. Let me close this. But if I go to strategies here, okay, let me see if there are any questions. Now, it's not that simple. I want you to know that I understand that. But now you have a good idea of how to do it. You have the video, and if there are any issues, you may be able to easily solve them yourself. Now we're going to go over all of the different parameters that are required before you take a trade. Let me just see if there are any questions up till now. Okay, hang on, there are. Yes, it's going to be recorded now. Okay, well, I hope, James, you saw how to manage ATMs. Sure, Mal, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, all your charts are already ready to go, Mort. Yes, Sergio set them. If he set them for you, this is exactly the way he set them. It's all being recorded. You don't have to remember everything. No, James, we're not out at five ticks. We're not out. On crude and gold, our first target's 5, and our second target's 10. On the currencies, we're all out at 6. So if we go 5 and then we don't go to the 6th tick, we want to protect our backside. That's why we go to break even at 5. I mean, those currencies sometimes are brutal. I'll tell you why. I'm going to go through all of that, Brian. Great, Jim. Thank you. The value of a break-even is 0. I mean, it's nothing. We already did, Mal. But if there are any additional questions, just call us. I mean, this really is how to do the assembly. And this is really everything. Yes, you're all going to get the video, everybody. This is for NT7. The NT8 will be soon. James, I got the video. If you missed anything, okay, that's what we're going to go over, Mort. What we do, Brian, is we forward test. And I'm going to show you the results. Okay? I'm sorry. If there are any additional questions, I'm going to read them. I promise you. I'm sorry. There's just really questions about configuration, things like that. Now, just hang on 1 second. I'm going to go over all the algorithmic parameters for each chart. Okay, now here's how the system, let's take crude first, and we'll take gold. They're identical. Every single parameter for both are identical. So when I talk about crude, I'm going to talk about gold as well. Now, first of all, the system will only trade if background bias is pink for a short or background bias is green for a long. Now this is the way Sergio, we've updated it. This is the only time it's going to trade. Long, green, short, pink. Now it must have a system-generated entry, a strategy, a C candle, or a consolidation signal. And now occasionally you're going to get a great entry, but the order flow will, the algo will not take it because it just doesn't have a system-generated entry. Now occasionally you'll look down at an entry and you'll see that, say, it will only take a trade when the quant line is red for a short and green for a long. And sometimes you'll see that the quant line will be yellow. And the reason that happens is, and it happens occasionally, but it does happen, is that at the time, the auto trader is going to get you into the trade real early. Just as the candle starts to form, it fires the signal. Now, if the signal doesn't mature, it's going to cancel the trade. But if for some reason, and it happens sometimes, on the move down, the quant goes to yellow, it will look like the auto trader triggered on a yellow quant, but it did not. It triggered on a red quant short or a green quant long. And sometimes money flow is not directly associated with a continuation short. It just changes. Now, there's no way for the auto to take that trade out intra-candle. It's already made its analysis and it's committed if the trade closes to the downside. That's all we can do with that. Now, we have not configured order flow and momentum into it yet, because Sergio is now into his third week of redoing order flow and momentum, and the order flow and momentum is going to be done tomorrow, correct, Sergio? He says yes, and I know it will be. As soon as it's done, it will only take a trade when order flow and momentum are red to the short side and green to the long side. Right now, it's just not working as great as we want, and it's going to cost us a lot of winners, and it's going to walk us into losers. So the best thing to do is to ignore it. I'm sorry about that. Now, overbought is 21 ticks on each end. will not take a trade if the MA diff is 21 or greater or 21 or less on each side. 24, Sergio? Okay, Sergio configured it at 24. We're giving it a little more room. And this is from his 2-year market replay data. And so I'm confident that 24 is good. Now, the candle right here, it didn't take this trade. Oh, it did take this trade. Now this candle body is 4 ticks off, and we've pulled that up to 3 on crude and 2 on the E-mini and the currencies. We've tightened it. The 50 has to be red or yellow. The 15 has to be red. And the thing that we have it now on the prowl for is if it's got a nose through support or resistance, it'll take the trade. Will not take the trade if it's got a trade up into support or resistance. Right here, it's got a nose through. It's not a formal break, but it's enough really to optimize the entry. Now I'm trying to think of any other parameters. Now he's in the process. This is a really difficult process, but he will have this operational by the end of the week. He is going to insert the commitment of traders. It will have to be in the lower 1/3 of the candle for a long and the upper 1/3 of the candle for a short. Now I know it's going to cost us some winners, but the goal here is not to get a lot of trades, it's to get a lot of winners and avoid all the losers. So it's going to trade as conservatively as possible. Like there's no way it's going to get this crude trade. And that's exactly the same way that gold is going to trade. So just hold on your question, because I'm going to go over the E-mini and then I'm going to go over the currencies. Now I'll tell you why we've taken out the NQ. The NQ is too erratic. And we have really tried our best. And the problem, I'll tell you the problem with the NQ, why I don't trade it and why I don't think the algo should trade it, and I think it's going to degrade our equity curve, is that the cash metrics are stellar to help trade it on a discretionary basis. But we've all seen how they behave intra-candle, and they're constantly changing color. I mean, as the candle evolves, I mean, this can start green, and then by the time the candle body hits and triggers, these cash metrics can be red. Now this system, it's impossible for it to continue to watch the trade and to take a trade out. If it did, it would be going in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out every time a cash metric changed color. So they're so changeable that I just think that the NASDAQ is going to cost us more money than it's going to make. And for us to integrate the cash metrics, we looked, and what happens is, and you can see you can get winners without the cash metrics on your side. The key is the quants, and I'm going to talk to you about the quants. Now you need the quant on the single quant. And we're going to move to these markets because the E-mini market is really going to be very similar to the NQ market. But the E-mini market is moved to a tremendous degree by the quants and much less by the cash metrics. And the NQ is moved very much more by the cash metrics and less by the quants. So because the cash metrics are so important, you have to be able to watch the cash metrics as the trade evolves. And if they go against you when you're close to your entry, you got to close the trade. There's no algorithmic system created that can do that. I mean, it could enter and exit a trade 7 or 8 times in a given candle. And all it's going to do is make problems. Let's say everything aligns on the 12th tick of this candle. It may provide you an entry that doesn't have time for you to get into the trade. So the best thing to do, just because of the way that the NQ moves, is to take it out. Now we're looking at the agriculturals, and we're looking at other markets. There's no sense in pulling in a market that has the potential to degrade our equity curve. So let's look at the currencies next. And the currencies are really similar to gold and crude in many ways. The 50 has to be yellow or red. The modified 15 must be red on a short, green on a long. Background bias must be pink for a short, green for a long. What did you set the MA diff at here, Sergio?
No, for the one is 18, I think.
You check. It should be 13. Just check the system. He's going to look into the system right now. I mean, he's got pages and pages of numbers. And if you put a question in now, I'll answer it, and I'll read every question.
13.
It's 13, exactly where it should be. 2 fib numbers higher. So the MA diff has got to be 13 or less, and it'll never trade on a yellow modified 15. Again, it needs the same entries, consolidation strategy or C candle. And I'm trying to think what else I can tell you. It must have a green quant, and by Wednesday, when Sergio finishes the new order flow and momentum, they'll be integrated in, and it will only trade when order flow and momentum are in the direction of the trade. Right now, they're just not working. It's a little bit of headwind facing the system, but I mean, today it made $550, and I'm going to go over all the trades. And so traders who are on the system can compare my entries with their entries. Now, this has to be 2 ticks off resistance or support. Gold and crude 3 ticks. The 6E and all the currencies can only be 2 ticks off support or resistance to take a trade. It's got to be very tight to resistance to take a trade. Let me see if there's anything else. Hang on one sec. Correct, 2. Okay, I think that's it. If anybody has any other questions, you can ask me and I'll answer them. I think the currencies can be traded real well on the system as long as our 6-month market replay data was real good for just trading the pink and the green on these signals, and also not trading into support or resistance, which it won't do. And the E-mini, again, is real similar, except the E-mini has the quants. And what we're going to talk about now, so the E-mini needs a little bit more to take a trade. Now, what we just configured today is that this was a long trade on the E-mini, and it was a full winner, and it made $300 some odd right here. And see, you've got a nice pullback entry. And I don't know how far it went all the way, but it went enough to get a full winner. And it entered on this consolidation signal. Now, it won't in the future because it's going to need to have the major quant and the minor quant in its favor to take a trade. It's going to hold up some winners, but it's going to censor a lot of losers. Like this trade was a loser, and it took it on a red major quant. So that's never going to happen again. Now, order flow and momentum will also be integrated as soon as it's done, which is tomorrow. 2 ticks off support or resistance, MA diff at 13, only green background bias or pink background bias. And the cash metrics right now, from the way I see them move on the E-mini, we're going to just make sure that the cash metrics are either yellow or green. They do not have to be in the favor of the trade. They just can't be against the trade. So if you have yellow or green, it'll take the trade. So this is not the most important variable. The most important variables to get in these trades are going to be order flow and momentum when they're integrated, and the major quant and the minor quant, and the intermediate quant cannot be against the trade. It can be yellow or green on a long trade, or yellow or red on a short trade, and the trade will trigger. So right now, it's got one independent variable. It's one independent variable short of a full DAX. I don't, so to speak. Order flow and momentum aren't working, and so it's put it a little bit behind the 8 ball. But that's, and before I answer any questions, let's go back 3 days. I know this is going to take a lot of time. We're going to look at every single entry going back 3 days. I know it might be boring, but we'll do them quickly. Now, somebody asked me about the time to trade, and here's what I recommend. Sergio turns the system on at about, now right now, do we have it on 24/7, Sergio? We have it on 24/7. I mean, a lot of traders say they want to trade it in the middle of the night. I don't recommend you do that. I recommend you trade it from 7:30 in the morning when he opens it, because sometimes you get great morning trades, and this is when this is how we are going to calculate our equity curve. So please be on guard. If you trade the system 24/7 and lose money in the middle of the night, do not come to us and tell us that your equity curve is different. Because around 12:30 to 1 o'clock, we are going to turn it off on our end. But it's still going to be sending out signals to you. If you want to trade it all day and you want to trade it all night, you're free to do so. I don't recommend it because you can see, look at the market right now on the E-mini. I mean, it's deader than a doornail. Look at the number of contracts trading. There's just nothing here. The likelihood of getting a successful trade here is nil. And so right now at 152, we would be out, and I would have the system on our end off. The calculation of our equity curve gone and done. If you want to continue to trade it, you can do it, but I don't recommend it. Between 12:30 and 1 o'clock, and really just look at volume. If volume is turning awful, just shut it down, especially if you've made a ton of money. And here's the other thing, use your own discretion. If you get 3 winners in a row and you're up $800 or $900, shut it down. I mean, that's a lot of money. But in general, between 12 and 12:30. Okay, now let's, we'll take the crude trades first. Let's go back 3 days. Now this is on 11/27. I don't have these marked out. Now again, please, when you get the system, do not start it with real money, because it's very complex, and we want to make sure that our connection to you is seamless, and you're not going to wind up having problems. So Friday was, what was Friday, Sergio? What day? Was it the 1st? Yeah, neither of us can figure it out. Friday was the 1st. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to start on the 1st. And here's the 1st. So let's go through crude. I know I have marked out every entry. I don't see any. Let's keep going. Now here was an entry, and it was a loser. It didn't work, and it was a really, really good trade. It occurred at 10:16. Now, it's 4 ticks off resistance, so this trade will never occur again. This is why we pulled it into 3 ticks. Now, maybe, you know what, maybe that's the only trade on crude I have marked out. We have 1 winner. I think we have 1 loser. We may just have that 1 loser. I think that's it. What's Sergio? What?
Those are the trades.
This is another trade? No, this is a trade that I think I took. I don't think the Algorithmic took this. Okay? Every Algorithmic I have in this box. On the E-mini, I know I go back a few days. All right, here's 12-1. I hope the system saved what I did, because I know that I did this every day. I just don't see anything. Now, that was a great trade that we took in the room. And you see where it occurred. Order flow momentum, pink background bias. The candles below support. Fires down for 4 3/4 points. These are the only trades we can take. Now, this would have been censored on the algo because you can't have a cash metric against you, and this had the fast cash against you. If it was yellow, it wouldn't have been a problem. Plus, you don't have the major quant here. So on a non-discretionary system, that would not have been an entry. I thought I saved all those entries. Okay, here was a winner, here was a loser, and this would not happen again. I took it on a red quant, red major, and there was the winner. It didn't save all the stuff that I put in there. I feel really bad because I put in a lot of, I circled a lot of trades. Oh, here we are going nowhere. And let's look at the 6E. There's an algorithmic 6E. It stood back down on this because the market's oversold. I took that trade off of a double top, and the wick shot through and took me out. But I got this trade short and that trade short. And that trade short as well. The algorithmic only took that trade. That was it. On a pink background bias, right below with a break of support, and it went all the way down. That was a full winner. It looks like I only have 1 day's worth of data, and I'm sorry. I really did accumulate a whole bunch of days. It just didn't, for some reason, the system didn't save it. Now, here was another trade on gold, and that was a winner. And that would have been, a trade when we engage order flow and momentum. Because order flow and momentum and candle close were good. And everything was perfect here. And you're below support, came back, some heat, and down it went. It takes great trades. It stood aside on this whole configuration. Didn't take any of this. Correct, Sergio? Oh, it took this trade, but it didn't lose. This candle, this high, did not eclipse the high of that candle. And it actually made a first target right here. With 8 ticks. And it made, what, $100 or more? It made $120. So it actually was a winner. And these are really nice entries. And you see that the system didn't take a re-entry and then a re-entry because it knew that it was already in a trade. This is an entry, this is another entry, but the system already knew that contracts were in play, and so it didn't give you 4 more and then 4 more to have to deal with. You don't want 16 contracts or 12 on a trade. And every one of these was a trade trigger that was perfect. It simply carried your 4 8 ticks. There was another. I just showed you this. And that's it. Let's go to the 6C. I don't have these circled, so I know that these are not entries. I don't think it took a 6C trade. Did it, Sergio? Did it take that trade? I think you said it didn't, because I did not circle that candle. Let's take a quick look at 907.20 on today, on 12.5. I'm sure you said it didn't. It would have been a winner. I don't think it took it, though. It didn't take it. We can go all the way back. Now, for some reason, it didn't like this trade. It didn't take it. Maybe it was trading up into support. I don't know. So, you know, candle nose through. The quant was yellow. Background bias blue. No trade. So let me go through the other. What do we have left here? Did gold. Let me look at the 6. I think we did the 6B. I'm not sure. Well, we'll take a quick look anyway. Yeah, this took a loser right here. Now, this took a trade on the wrong background. This should not have been a trade. And, you know, this is the kind of thing that we have to eliminate. And we will. And Sergio already fixed it. Now, this trade was 3 ticks off resistance, and from now on, it's going to be 2. And you can see that even though we do 90 days of market replay, and then 180 days, and then 2 years, a lot of what you see has to come just off a live chart. And we're just pulling the system tighter and tighter. We went from 4 to 3 ticks on crude and gold, and we've gone from 3 ticks to 2 ticks off resistance and support on the currencies and the E-mini. We've eliminated teal and pink or cyan, and we're only trading on now pink, dark pink, or green. So the system is getting tighter and tighter. It's going to take fewer and fewer trades, and hopefully it's going to take more and more winners. Now, when he configures order flow and momentum, we're going to insert them immediately. It will not take a trade without order flow and momentum in the direction of the trade. We have done he's done, I have to tell you, just a remarkable analysis. I mean, we've reconfigured the entire order flow system, and it's really, I think it's going to be really unique. Now, he's working and should have very shortly the commitment of traders signal as well. So the COT here is going to have to be in the lower 1/3 for a long and in the upper 1/3 for a short. That's also going to hold up some winners, but I think it's going to allow you to sidestep a lot of losers. So we're working really hard to make the system better and better, and that's why after I trade every morning, we go over every system entry. I'm going to do that every single day so you can compare what you get with what we get. And if for some reason you have an additional signal or additional entry that I don't show you, it means we didn't trigger it. Or if you have an entry, if I have an entry that you don't get, you didn't receive a signal that you should have. And then, you know, we've got to look under the hood and see what the problem is. Just hang on 1 second. Okay. So just wanted to clarify something for me. So let me see if there are any questions. I mean, I think the system is going to trade absolutely fabulously. And we're 95% of the way there. And when we first configured it, we tried to give it a little more room because we saw that there were a lot of trades that it could grab, but that room is not working. It is getting a lot of winners, and it did what? It made 525 today, Sergio, at the time that I stopped about noon. But it's still pulling in winners, losers that we don't need. So by the end of the week, we'll have order flow and momentum integrated and working. And we've already pulled in the amount of room between the candle open and the modified 15. The M8 diff is good. We're only trading green and pink. We've got the configuration for the major and minor quant on the E-mini. And cash metrics cannot be against the trade, but it doesn't matter if they're with it or not. If the major and minor quant on the E-mini are with you and the intermediate quant isn't against you, that trade's going to go. And the cash metrics on the E-mini are just not as important. And I don't think I don't want to hold up a trade waiting for a green cash metric when I have that indication of money flow so strong. And I think that's the most important thing. Okay, so let me go through the questions. Okay, hold on one second. I'm going to read them out too, so everybody knows what everybody else is. Hold on 1 minute. Let me just go up to where I left off. Let me tell you, even NT7 is, glitches occasionally. Okay, Mort asks what hours traded, and I just answered that. The system is on 24/7, but I recommend that you only trade the high volume periods of time. You can get some great trades early in the morning when Sergio gets into the office at 7:30 a.m. Eastern, and he has the system on within 15 minutes. I would recommend you turn it on then. I haven't gotten here yet, but he's here. And I would trade it right through to about noon. And when I stop in the room, we're going to check our equity at the period of time that we stop trading in the trading room. And if we're up a lot of money, then it's your call if you want to trade on or not. But I would not recommend you do. So those are the hours. Okay, Brian asked. Yes, I'm reading them now. John says, I still hear reports that NT8 is having data handling issues, so happy to stay with NT7. I agree with you. Even NT7 is glitching occasionally. Like we have one trader who's getting 3 entries on a single trade. He had 134 entries in one day. And I don't know what to say. I mean, I think he needs to delete his NinjaTrader and reconfigure the whole thing, because we're not sending him 3 signals. But so for now, we're going to stay with NT7 until NT8's perfected, but we're going to have it ready to go on NT8. Well, you know what, Tim? The updated version doesn't have to be sent to you. Remember, the updated version is done on the central server. So it's automatically conferred upon you. So every time we make a modification in the algo that the system trades, it automatically, all you're doing on your software is taking the signal off the central system. Now we have toyed with the idea Sergio can compress the system to put it on your computer, and each of you individually have the entire software. But I think it's just going to cause more problems because it's so complex and so difficult. I don't think you want it on your computer. And it's really, the one problem I have never heard so far with any trader is I didn't get into the trade early enough. It takes the trade real quick, right at almost candle open. It's in the trade. No, Ed, you don't have to remove any script. The only thing that the script does that you have on your software, you have in your system, is allow the signal to come through. We're changing the nature of the signal, so you don't have to do anything. Once the auto trader assembly is in your system, you do not have to modify it or change it. If we change the automatic trade management strategy, then you have to. But we haven't done that. You know, we're happy with the E-mini. I really like the currency ATM. We did modify crude and gold to we're looking for 10 ticks and $300, because in doing the last 90 days, I mean, crude and gold have been so choppy. It's hard. I mean, we were looking for a 20. How many ticks a full winner? 30 ticks, Sergio? 20 ticks, I think. We were looking for a 20-tick move to get a third target, and it just wasn't happening. So it was degrading our equity. So if we get an 11-tick move, we're out, and that's a much better automatic trade management strategy, and it's going to help our equity curve. We get that 11th tick, and we're in. I mean, today I got a 6-tick trade on the currencies, and that didn't get a fill. So I think it's best to be conservative, so you don't have to do anything, not anything. Okay, James. James says, I would like to see you open the E-mini ATM and look at the programming for second target. Sure. Hold on one second, James. I'll have Sergio do that. Stop loss is 6, 6, and 6. Profit target 4, 7, and 11. And there's our profit trigger.
Break even at 4 and stop strategy. And a trail.
And here's the trail by 4.
On the last 2 steps.
So that's all the information. I hope whatever questions you had, that answers it. Now, we're building a new website. We're going to have all of these JPEGs in there. So we're going to have all the ATMs built, and you're going to be able to actually just go in. You're going to get a username and password, and you're going to be able to see all that stuff without even asking. But I hope that you got that. Yeah, more no NQ. I kind of went over that. Les writes, Sergio has helped me in the past to do this, but I would like to have instructions to do it myself. Yes, you're going to get the video, Les. I'm going to give you this video. It should explain everything from scratch. All right. Well, listen, that's it, everyone. Obviously, we're here to support you. If you have any problems, Sergio's always around. He gets a lot of phone calls, and he doesn't turn anybody away. I mean, sometimes we get a lot of questions that are really NinjaTrader issues, but we still try to handle them for you. I know that it's difficult, and I'm not a tech guy myself, and so I know it can be confusing. So we're always here to support you in any way that we can. I want you to have the information, so you can configure it if you like. But again, you can always come to Sergio as a reference if there are any issues. So with all the questions answered, I'm going to sign off, and I'm going to start trading the room just like this. I mean, we're not taking any trades on anything other than green, background bias, or pink. I'm going to look for that modified 15 to be the appropriate color, and that's when we're going to get our high. I mean, all we need are 8 or 9 perfect trades a week to make well over $1,000, and I am way overreaching by trying to get trades. I mean, double tops and double bottoms are great, but it costs us a trade, and on the currencies you just can't take them right here. I mean, they shoot a wick out. They burp a wick out. and this Burpawick cost us this whole move down, and it took us out of the trade. So I mean, I'm not trading any of these configurations. They're great price action market structure trades, and you can see we're looking for a short trade, and the short trade succeeded. But I wasn't going to go back in after I got burped out here, and I'm just going to wait. I'd rather lose the trade if it's successful than get wicked out. And you can see this trade worked perfectly, and just went for a nice winner, and I didn't take it because I think we were in another trade someplace else. So we're just going to stay conservative, and that's the way we're going to go. The better trading hours, Etienne, are about 7:30 Eastern time, and 7:30 a.m. Eastern, to about 12 to 12:30 p.m. Eastern, and it's Eastern Standard. Those are going to be your best trading hours. Those are when you have the most volume, and especially if you accumulate a significant amount of profit. Don't let the market take your money away on really light volume, where it can start you out of a trade, especially on the currencies. My God, I mean, these currencies are really, I really like them, and I want to stay with the 6E, but you can only trade them when there's a multi-time frame alignment, and you get a perfect entry. I mean, you can't take any other kind of trade. So those are the best hours. And again, if you accumulate a lot of profit early, if you want to take it out, I think it's a good idea. So that's it for today. New releases, like Tim is asking how we handle new releases. Like I said, on this, you don't have to worry. As we change the algo, it simply changes in your computer. The signal is going to modify. I mean, that's the nice thing about not having it on your computer. You don't have to worry about it. You have the software that carries the entry to your DOM and then over to your broker. So you don't have to do anything. So later in the week, when I'm going to send out the indicator to everyone who has the software. We're going to have a new order flow momentum indicator. We're going to have an updated 3-line. And I think we're going to call it 3-line 2.0 because it's a huge change. So you need the new software. But if you're trading the algorithmic system, it's going to be integrated into the algo signal automatically, and you don't have to do anything. So that's how the new releases are not an issue here. And you can see the E-mini is starting to get a little weak here. And look at the volume that it's moving down with. It's moving down with strong volume. And if you look at the higher time frame here, that's the 8 range. You really are in a good place. You see you have that teal color. Very soon that's going to turn pink, because the 15 has crossed the 50, and it probably hasn't done it on the 13 range, which is why we don't have pink, but we're really close to getting it. So the algo would be starting to sniff around for a trade, but not quite yet. So the new system will be more profitable. Yes, Jeff, that is our goal. It's going to take less trades, and the predictive value of an entry is going to be significantly higher because it's going to require more parameters to rotate in the favor of the trade. So, like I said, it's going to censor some winners, but our goal is not to get all the winners. It's to avoid as many losers as we can. And the system is going to have much, much more precision. Now, if you want to hold up on the auto until all of this is integrated, it's only till Thursday. It's only 2 days of trading. It's tomorrow and Wednesday. And then we'll have, well, today's Tuesday, so it's only tomorrow. And then we'll have the new order flow and momentum indicator integrated, and we'll have everything else integrated and the whole system updated. We can send you an email to let you know that all's been done and we're ready to go on the algo that has, I think, more precision. And it's going to have, precision's a mathematical term. for the positive predictive value of getting an entry. How many, what percentage of entries are going to win? And you can see a lot of the losers that I showed you will be filtered out. Now, it filtered out a big winner, but it filtered out almost every loser that the system took. I'm not going to go over them again, but it's going to filter out an enormous, like this loser right here, I think, right here. Where's that loser? I can't see it really well. There was a loser it took, it would not have taken it. So it is going to allow it to back further. Let me see where it was. I'm sorry. Where's Sergio? Yeah, right here, it will filter that loser out. Because you're going to need order flow and momentum that's been reconfigured, and also it will not give 4 ticks. It's only going to give 3. And the concern when you take 4 is what happened is exactly what happened. It's too far off resistance. It retraced back to resistance, stopped you out, and then continued down for a winner. That's always, that's what happens when you take a trade whose candle body open is just a little bit too far off resistance or support. There, so that's exactly what happened. And you'll notice that candle body never penetrated the modified 15 here. It always stayed in a downtrend, and the modified 15 was never broken. The only thing that took this trade out was this wick, and then we had the short, and that's what we have to avoid, getting taken out of a trade by a wick, and that's why we have to stay real tight to resistance on a short and real tight to support on a long. And all of that's going to be reconfigured by Thursday. If you want to stand down for one day, I think it might be worth it, and everything will be operational and upgraded in one day. There are, I think, are there 7 markets, Sergio? There are 7 markets. And right now, let me tell you, there's more than enough markets to get a lot of winners. And we are looking at soybeans, corn, and wheat. But first, I want to get the system operating perfect. And then when we get that done, and we create a nice equity curve every day, and the losers we do take are perfect entries, then we're going to do soybeans, corn, and wheat. And we're going to move up to other markets. I want to look at silver, and the one that I also want to look at is copper. I mean, copper can be a high-volume market. So we've got a lot of additional markets that we're going to add eventually. We'll see how they trade. So everyone have a really wonderful afternoon. If you have any questions, give us a call. My goal is to make this a real major success. We all want to trade it here in the office, and we're just a half a yard away. So take care, everyone. Have a great afternoon. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.